All right, welcome to the final assignment video. Also going to talk about the PATT system just a little bit. Once we get through the PowerPoint here, I will go through the actual assignment with you guys. So for the PATT system, okay, a couple of things just to kind of go over. Obviously, we referenced that we have 3 lab benches, okay, 3 stations at each bench. Here we're taking a look at lab station number 1. Just to point out a couple of things on the outside of the cabinet. We do have our DC power supply indicator, the enable switch, okay, and then a couple of the buttons that we had installed, and we will go back and use those next semester. It takes a different PLC program, which we didn't get to this semester, obviously, but we can use a different PLC program with external push buttons rather than our HMI screen. Keep in mind the HMI screen is also known as the panel view. As we can see here, it's a little bit more of a zoomed out look. You can see one entire lab station. Okay, as part of this lab station, we know that we always do our valve lineup. That includes opening this manual ball valve down at the bottom, and this one down here as well. Keep in mind, anytime that we open those up, we're allowing water to enter our main suction, and we are going to supply water to the pump. Down here we have our pump suction pressure gauge and our pump discharge pressure gauge. A couple of the sensors that we should be familiar with. We have our DP level sensor, our radar level detector, our temperature sensor, and our flow meter. Okay, so we have 4 major elements that are talking back and sending information back to our controller, which is inside the cabinet. Okay, here we could see the entire lab bench 1 with stations 1, 2, and 3 on it. If you did have a chance to come into lab over the last couple of weeks, we tried to prepare for our comp exam that was coming. For that comp exam, you guys would have been asked to start up the lab station, do your valve lineup, get some water in the tank, and then I would come around and have you either recirculate the water, or move it to a different station or back to the main, depending on what station you were at. As we know, there's 4 solenoid valves at each station, so the brass valves down at the bottom are on the suction line. These black valves up at the top are our discharge valves, so those are on the discharge header, the main riser that comes up through the middle of the lab bench, goes through our flow meter to our station tank or to the next station. All right, each lab station, or rather each lab bench, has a main water supply that's all the way to the left-hand side that is gravity fed down the bottom of the bench to each lab station where the pumps are. So again, that suction line is the larger line, comes in the inlet of the pump. Out of the outlet of the pump, it goes up through the main riser for the lab station and can be discharged one of 2 ways. All right, a deeper look inside the cabinet. A couple of things to point out that I didn't necessarily have time to in the classroom. All right, obviously the VFD we talked about, the 24-volt AC/DC power supply. This is our PLC or our L24ER Allen Bradley controller. Okay, here we see a digital input and output card. This is an analog input and output card, and then this is also an analog card, which is known as a HART communications, which is highway addressable remote transducers. Most of our sensors all have that capability, so we have those going back to that card. Again, information is sent back there, converted into a digital number that we could use inside of our program, and then seen inside of the PLC as a parameter that we could reference. Here's our network switch. Again, everything communicates via Ethernet. For your final report, it would be great for you to include that in the information as far as what the IP address scheme was. 255.255.255.0 is our subnet mask. Again, most of that information was in the PowerPoints previous to us coming into this. But again, you can reference that in here. It'd be great. One thing that I didn't point out to everybody, but some students had problems with at their lab station, was the solenoid valves, the 120 volt solenoid valves. So we have solid state relays in there. Again, our controller is going to use 24 volts DC, and we could see that for the main power as well as the input and output cards. And then in order to actuate those 120 volt valves, we're going to go down to the solid state relays first, send a 24 volt signal. That's going to switch the 120 volt power that actually goes out to the valves. All right, so let me just jump over to the assignment that you guys have to do for the final assignment for 215. Once you go through the video, okay, and I fully expect you guys to reference the 2 labs that we've just done. So the VFD lab was a great reference. We got to see a lot there. Feel free to include pictures or any kind of lab data to help explain your understanding of the lab station. Okay, and then also the last lab that we did, where you're just identifying some of the manual ball valves, as well as starting up the station. Okay, so here is the instructions for the actual assignment. Basically, what I'm looking for is a comprehensive report that shows me that you guys are understanding exactly what the lab station's capabilities are, the lab bench capabilities are, about this PATT system in general. Okay, and above all, just please make sure you guys, or guys and girls, type with some type of college level report style to it. Okay, there's some of the lab reports that I've gotten this year have been great. If you want to stick to that kind of a structure, that's fine with me. Okay, just please in the report, I tried to give you some stuff that you can include. So again, talk about those hardware components, software components, the PLC and the VFD, the HMI, all the programs that they run with. Okay, in the report, you could also talk about the types and styles of solenoid valves. Okay, what else do we have? So if you want to talk about the way water moves, that's great. Keep in mind it does come from basically one of 2 locations and can discharge to one of 2 locations. We can only have 1 suction and 1 discharge valve open at a time. We know that without one of those, without one of the 2 suction valves and one of the 2 discharge valves open, we're not able to start the pump. Okay, as far as the report itself, all right, a heading just like we've been doing for all of our lab reports would be much appreciated. Title of the report, center of the page, final PATT System report, or EACMN 215 final report. Okay, and then 2 to 3 pages, again, lab report style, 12-point font. I'm okay with a Times New Roman font, double spaced. Makes my life a little bit easier as well as yours. And then please be sure and submit this back to the folder where you downloaded the instructions for this report. Okay, it's very much like the lab assignments. I'll have it in a folder. You go in, you pull out the instructions for this assignment, and then you create your report and submit your report back to the assignment area. All right, thank you all again for your time and patience this semester. I look forward to having you guys again next semester, and please email me if you have any issues. Thank you.